carry a wooden spoon in her purse.
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
May we approach?
You may.
Objection overruled.
Jodi, if you could, first of all, do us all a favor again. I know it's difficult. I know you're nervous. You've told us before. But if you could just speak up a little louder, make sure everybody can hear you, okay?
Okay.
You were just now telling us that your mother carried a spoon with her. What did she do with that spoon?
It was a wooden kitchen spoon that she would keep in her purse, and if we were misbehaving, my brother and I, this is before Angela and Joseph were born, although it continued through that point. If we were misbehaving, she would use it on us. Sometimes she would pull the car over, and, if we were just being brats or something.
What do you mean by use it on you?
She would hit us with it.
She hit you hard?
It felt pretty hard, yes. It left welts.
It left welts on your body?
Yes.
When your dad hit you with the belt, did that leave welts on your body?
Objection, lack of foundation. Time. 8.
Rephrase.
You told us that your dad hit you with the belt
Yes.
after age 7.
Yes.
Did he leave welts?
He didn't leave welts as often as my mom. She also used a belt. My dad was very intimidating, so I don't think he needed to hit us quite as hard to get the point across. My mom didn't carry that fear factor with her, so I think she used more force. So her blows felt a lot worse, actually.
Physically or emotionally?
Both.
You loved your mother?
Yes.
And
I
she
did.
hit you?
Yes.
You said that these were frequent, these incidents where your mother would hit you, they were frequent and intense. I think those are your words, right?
They were definitely intense, but they increased in frequency
Okay.
as I got a little older.
Can you discern for us how many times a week your mother would beat you with this spoon?
I don't recall how many times particularly, but it seemed like it could go anywhere from 4 times a week to once every 2 weeks. It just depended.
Okay. Now, how long did you live in Salinas? How old were you?
I was born there and I lived there until age 11.
Okay. So, let me ask you this. You talked about these beatings that began at age 7 when you lived in Salinas. Tell us about the next few years before you left Salinas. Did you continue going to school, that sort of thing? Tell us about that.
Yes, I went to a public school, had a lot of friends. My brother was at that school too, and he had his own circle of friends. And we would just do things together, school activities, after-school activities. And
Activities. What were your interests at this point in time in your life?
I began to get into art. Again, my pets were very central in my life at that time. I began to read a lot of books. I took piano lessons. My brother and I took karate lessons. He learned the clarinet. I learned the flute, things like that, just general.
Okay. Do me a favor, because when you say the word art, it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people in terms of art. It's a pretty broad area. So were there certain areas of the art world that you were interested in, or can you describe that for us?
Yeah, when I was younger, I liked to color with Crayolas. And my older sister and I would color, and there were a lot of colors. She had the big box with all of the Crayolas, and so we would draw pictures and just watch cartoons and that kind of thing. So I would have coloring books, and I just began to take an interest in that because I wasn't able to draw what I saw, but I would see art, and it would fascinate me. So I slowly began to practice doing that.
Okay. Now, at this point in time, did the beatings from your mother and father, did they continue?
Yes.
Did they increase in nature?
They began to increase, I'd say, all the way through my teenage years.
Okay. Did they increase? You've talked about frequency and severity. Did the level of the brutality increase?
Yes. My brother and I we didn't like being hit. I know I didn't. So we would squirm around a little, and so the more we squirmed, the harder they would try to whack us. So just as that progressed, things would increase, At one point, I don't think she meant to, but my mom broke my brother's vein in his wrist because he was putting his hand behind his back to block one of her blows. And, as I became a teenager, my dad would get rougher and rougher.
Okay. Before we go on to rougher and rougher, let me ask you this, and I'm not simply talking physically. How did they feel? How did you feel when your own mother was beating you?
When I was younger, I remember feeling, I didn't have a word for it then, but I can describe it as betrayed and confused. And as I got a little bit older, it would just really make me mad because I didn't get why, I don't know, I understood that I was being punished, but I would just be mad at her a lot over that because it hurt.
Because you still loved her?
Yeah, I loved my mom.
Even though she was still beating you, you still loved her?
Yes. It put a strain on our relationship, but I still loved her, of course.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
I still loved her.
Okay. Going back to what you said a few minutes ago about your dad and the beatings getting rougher and rougher. Could you describe for us what you mean by that?
Yeah, well, he never beat me with his fists or anything, but he would just shove me into furniture, sometimes into the piano or things like that, into tables, chairs, desks, whatever was around. He would just push me really hard, and I would go flying into that. One time I hit a doorpost. The side of my head hit the doorpost, and it knocked me out momentarily. I just remember waking up on the ground with my mom was there. We were all arguing. I was arguing with my mom, and he got involved. And so I remember waking up, and she was telling him to be careful.
And this incident you just described about you passing out or knocking into a door frame or doorpost, as you described it. Do you remember how old you were when this happened?
By then I was age 17, maybe 16, but I think I was 17.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit, because you talked about instances of you being pushed into furniture and a piano, like it was just like nothing to it. Did this happen a lot?
Not as often with my dad as with my mom, but it just, I don't know, if I did something to upset them, it would happen.
Okay.
Sometimes I got grounded. That became more the norm in high school, so the physical punishment was a little bit more farther apart, but more intense than it was prior.
At this time that you were getting these beatings from your dad, did you love him as well?
Yes, of course.
In this time period now, you said you moved from Salinas about age 11?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you move to?
We moved to Santa Maria, California.
Okay. And I know we talked about this is where in Santa Maria your dad was pushing you into furniture, right? Is this where these things were taking place?
Yeah, these things really started in Santa Maria.
Okay. And was that where you went to,